everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So, remakes. I don't like them, and I don't think that is a very controversial opinion to have. Over the years, there's been just so many of these unnecessary and unwanted remakes. Most of them are bad, some of them are downright horrendously awful, and a very few of them actually feels relevant. I think that you need some specific reasons to do a remake in a proper way. Now, there has been a few cases where they have actually done great remakes, where they've actually taken a underwhelming movie or a movie that, lacked certain things like, the technical ability or the budget or something like that, and they've turned it into an absolutely fantastic movie. One of the best examples of that is the movie Nosferatu. Nosferatu is a good silent movie, but Werner Herzog, together with Klaus Kinski as the creature, made a movie that is close to absolute perfection. Now, it is not the greatest remake of all time. The greatest remake of all time is Ron Howard's Ransom from 1996. When Werner Herzog took a good but technically challenged movie and made it into a somber, beautiful and incredibly frightening creation. Ron Howard took a boring, underwhelming and downright depressingly awful melodrama and turned it into what I would consider one of the greatest thrillers of the 90s. Unfortunately, the movie that I'm going to review today is not Ron Howard's movie, but the original 1956 movie. Now, does it have problems? Boy, howdy does it! We're gonna find out what those are and why this movie is so underwhelming. But apparently, I am in the minority of that opinion. But let's find out what this movie is about, shall we? This is the original 1956 Ransom. Glenn Ford plays David. He's a wealthy man that lives a good life. He has, lots of money, and he has the support of his loving and caring wife, and he also has a son that he adores. But one day everything changes for David because his son gets abducted. He gets kidnapped. Now they get, these ransom demands from the kidnappers demanding $250,000. But David won't stamp out the cash. Not because he doesn't love his son, but he feels almost disrespected by, this act. And he goes on television and tells the kidnappers that I'm not going to pay. I'm going to pay $500,000 for anybody who can bring me the kidnappers in. He basically puts out a bounty on the kidnappers, and this doesn't make the kidnappers very happy. And soon, the house of David is besieged by reporters and police, and they're trying to figure out where his son is and who has kidnapped them, and they're working their things, and they're trying to convince David that he's going to give in to the demands because you get your son back. There is a chance that they might panic and kill him, and this thing that you have done, the reward, it's just going to clog up our work, and it's going to be more difficult for us to find him. But David will not budge. So is he going to be able to get back his son? Who has kidnapped him, and why? Is there some thing that happened in the past that might have been the cause of this, and where are they, and how will this end? That is essentially what this movie is about. The thing is that I really like when movies do something very specific, aka Sånger från andra våningen does not have any zooms. The camera is static for the entire thing except one zoom, and that zoom looks like a fucking drop from a roller coaster. I like when movies do certain things with its way of telling stories or in the technical aspect. I like it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it do not. In this case, it works like a fart in church, because we only get to see everything from David's point of view. He's answering the phone and he yells at, the kidnappers, and he has, you know, his breakdowns, and he has his defining moments, and he has, you know, the sequence when he's telling, you know, the police that he wants, you know, 5 minutes alone with the kidnappers when they find him so he can, you know, beat them up or something like that. But we don't get to hear anything from the kidnappers. We don't get to see, you know, his son in, you know, some flop house and being afraid and wants his daddy, and we don't see, you know, the panic of the kidnappers. They're like ghosts. It's almost like, you know, in a story about kidnapping, the kidnappers are an unimportant part of the story. Now, this could maybe potentially have worked, but this movie went on for so long and I got so bored pretty soon when I realized we're not gonna get, you know, the fantastic, you know, verbal sparring that we got in Ransom, you know, between Gary Sinise and Mel Gibson. Give me back my son! That was great, this is not. But I thought to myself, well, they might be able to fix this with, you know, a good ending or something like that, but no, they did not. Because I was so bored at, you know, the end of the movie, and I thought to myself, my God, this couldn't possibly get any duller, more uninteresting, or worse than it has already gotten. But my God, they were able to do that. They delivered what I would consider one of the most underwhelming, flat and bad endings I have ever seen. If I ever do a you know, list about bad endings, this has got to be a top 5 entry, because holy shit, this was horrible. Now, Glenn Ford is pretty good, and Leslie Nielsen, who plays one of the police officers, also pretty good, but the problem with Leslie Nielsen is the fact that I'm always expecting him to say something funny or do something stupid, because he has basically become Frank Drebin too much that I can never see him as anything else than Frank Drebin for, you know, his entire career. Sorry, but you were simply too good in that movie. So, if you have never seen Ransom, skip this movie. If you've never seen Ransom, however, do see that movie. I love that movie. I love that movie so much because they used, you know, the inner workings with the kidnappers and Mel Gibson, and they also made, you know, the characters so big and so gargantuous, and the interplays between them were so fascinating that you were with them. It was interesting. Now we're trapped in this fucking house and we just wait for another phone call where we never get to hear what the other guy is saying. That is not good storytelling, at least not according to me. I don't know why, but many people seem to like this movie for some reason. I don't know. I wasn't that invested in what was going to happen. I wasn't invested in what David was going to do, and I wasn't invested in, you know, what's going to happen with the kid, because we don't get to see him. So how are we supposed to care? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about this, but this is actually one of the worst movies from the 1950s that I've ever seen. You know, apart from, you know, the obviously horrendously awful Burt I. Gorton productions and, you know, hundreds of horrible low-budget sci-fi movies. But other from that, this has got to be one of the worst things I've seen from the 1950s. I don't know if I am being too hard, but I have to give Ransom 6 points. I hate this movie. I hate it because of how it is structured and how it is executed. If they would have, you know, given us the same movie but with, you know, the investigation part and more of the interplay between the characters, it would have been better, but I don't think it would have been any more than, you know, maybe 46, 47, maybe 50 points at best. But now this is a fucking mess. So, I'll see you next time from, well, so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.